The Grand Hall of Lareth Kai was the kind of place where even seasoned diplomats lost their breath. Columns of living crystal pulsed with soft blue light, each beat synchronized with the heart of the palace itself. The ceiling soared so high it vanished into shimmering clouds of bioluminescence. Alien nobles, scaled, feathered, furred, or wrapped in armor grown from organic ores, stood in arranged clusters like constellations in motion. But none of that mattered the moment the doors opened, because that was when the humans stepped inside. Corporal Mason Hale, Terran Expeditionary Forces, decorated twice, survivor of the Siege of Corvallis, walked forward with military precision, unaware that hundreds of alien eyes had fixed on him. The hall, once alive with conversation, fell into a ripple of startled silence. Humans were new to this empire. New, unpredictable, unbound by the cultural rules that govern the older species. Some nobles leaned forward to observe him, like one might study a rare predator. But only one person froze entirely. Princess Aelyra of the Lareth Kai Dominion. She had been born beneath the twin moons, raised among crystalline towers, taught to master diplomacy, warfare, and the subtle languages of starlight. But nothing in her life, nothing in her centuries of training, had prepared her for the human soldier who stepped into the Grand Hall. Her luminous eyes widened. Her second heartbeat stuttered. Her chromatophore-lined skin flushed in colors that her attendants immediately noticed. "Princess," whispered her aide telepathically. She ignored them. Her entire focus narrowed to the human. Mason Hale walked with a steady confidence, but there was no arrogance in his movements, only readiness, like a blade sheathed but aware of its own edge. His uniform was crisp, his steps silent on the crystalline floor. Aelyra had seen warriors from 100 worlds. None had made her breath catch. But this one, this human, felt like a gravitational singularity pulling her thoughts into orbit. She watched every detail, the slight narrowing of his eyes as he scanned the hall, the disciplined tension in his shoulders, the subtle respect in his bow as he approached the throne. And when he finally looked toward her, just a glance, brief but direct, it felt as though a shockwave of starlight rolled through her entire body. He didn't avert his gaze. He didn't tremble. He didn't treat her like a mythical being or a terrifying foreign monarch. He saw her. Aelyra felt warmth bloom in her chest, a warmth forbidden to her station. The entire hall noticed her reaction. Murmurs spread like sparks across dry leaves. Is the princess? Impossible. Not toward a human. Her skin patterns, those are mating signals. Her attendants panicked. Mason remained blissfully unaware. General Thalrun, the massive four-armed strategist of the Dominion, stepped forward and addressed the human. "Corporal Mason Hale of Terra, welcome. The Dominion acknowledges your valor in the Battle of Corvallis." Mason bowed. "It's an honor to stand among allies, sir." His voice echoed, and Aelyra shivered. Something ancient stirred within her. A wordless certainty. This human would change her fate. This human, small compared to towering alien warriors, carried something none of them did, a spirit that refused to kneel before extinction, a fire that had outlived every war thrown at it. The Dominion had expected humans to be fragile. But Mason Hale walked like someone who had seen the void try to break his species, and seen humanity rise higher instead. Aelyra took a step forward before she realized it. Her advisors gasped. Protocol demanded the princess remain seated. Desire told her otherwise. When she finally spoke, her voice carried through the hall like a soft melody. "Corporal Hale," she said, "would you walk with me?" Mason blinked, surprised. Even the crystalline pillars seemed to vibrate in shock. Aelyra didn't look away. She had seen warriors of empires. She had seen diplomats of galaxies. But only this human soldier made her feel alive. And Mason, completely unaware of alien courting traditions, simply nodded. "Of course, Your Highness." Aelyra's heart fluttered. The hall erupted into chaos. The walk began in silence. The hall's jeweled doors closed behind them, muffling the chaos of rattled nobles and outraged advisors. Aelyra led Mason through a long, arching corridor of crystallized flora, walls that glowed softly in response to emotional energy. They were glowing brightly now. Mason didn't know that meant her emotions were spiraling beyond control. She tried to steady her breathing. Calm yourself, Alyra. You are heir to the Dominion throne. You cannot fall apart over a human. But the universe had other plans. What did you wish to speak about, Your Highness? Mason asked politely. His voice was gentle. Too gentle. Alyra stopped walking. My advisors will scold me for this, she admitted. I breached court protocol.
Twice.
But, she turned to face him fully. I wish to see your eyes. Mason blinked. My eyes. She nodded. Windows to the soul. This is a human saying yes? He chuckled softly.
Yeah.
Though, we don't usually drag people out of a hall to look into them. Her skin flushed again. But the glow in the walls softened to pastel colors. Curiosity, vulnerability, longing. You fought at Corvallis, she said. You stood against creatures that frightened even our generals. And yet, your record says you stayed behind to carry injured allies across a collapsing ridge. Mason shrugged lightly. It wasn't a choice. They needed help. Alyra's hearts trembled. Humans were strange, foolish, self-sacrificing, and utterly magnificent. My people, she said slowly, see emotions as weakness in the royal line. But you humans wield them like weapons. You turn compassion into strength. Mason rubbed the back of his neck. I don't know about all that. I just do my duty. She stepped closer. Too close by Dominion etiquette. But your duty comes from your heart, she said softly. Mason didn't step back. That alone sent heat through her veins. Alyra, she said suddenly. Mason blinked. Sorry? My name, she repeated, her voice softer than starlight. If you will walk with me, you may use it. His lips parted. Alyra, it's beautiful. Her knees nearly weakened. He spoke her name like it wasn't a title, but a person. Alyra forced herself to look away, trying to mask the spiraling warmth in her chest. She motioned toward an observation balcony.
Come.
There is something I wish to show you. They stepped into open cosmic air behind the shielded barrier. Below them, the capital city sprawled like a nebula carved into architecture, towers grown from living crystal, rivers of luminous water flowing through elevated channels, skyships drifting like silver birds. Mason inhaled in awe. I've never seen anything like this. Alyra watched him instead of the view. I know, she whispered. Mason turned to her. Why did you bring me here, Princess? Sorry, Alyra? Her hands trembled. She clasped them tightly. Because when you entered the hall, she said quietly, I felt something ancient. A force entwined with destiny. My species believes that once in a lifetime, a single being's presence can alter the direction of our path. She took a breath. And when you stepped through those doors, my hearts whispered your name, before I even learned it. Mason stared, unsure how to respond. Alyra smiled softly. You do not need to answer. Not yet. I simply wanted you to know. The balcony fell silent. But the universe had already begun rewriting fate. War arrived like a scream rippling across the void. Alarms blared through the Dominion Palace. The sky darkened as enemy warforms, shifting monstrosities born of bioengineered nightmares, tore through the capital's outer defenses. Mason was already grabbing his rifle before the palace guards finished shouting. Alyra intercepted him. Corporal. I'm staying with you, he said firmly. If they're targeting the throne, you're in danger. Her throat tightened. You would risk your life for me? He raised his weapon. You don't understand humanity very well if that surprises you. She wanted to kiss him. Instead, she guided him through hidden passageways toward the royal command chamber. Vibrating shockwaves shook the walls as distant explosions rippled across the city. When they reached the chamber, Alyra's generals turned in shock. Why is the human here? General Thalrun demanded. Because he is under my protection, Alyra said sharply. And because he chooses to stand alongside us. Mason stepped forward. What's the situation? The generals exchanged glances. Then Thalrun displayed the holographic feed. Biomechanical horrors swarmed the city. Civilians running, guard towers collapsing, ships falling from the sky. Elira whispered, "The Karth Dominion, we thought they were extinct." "They returned," Thalrun growled. "And they come for our throne." Mason didn't hesitate. "Then let's stop them." Elira stared at him as if seeing him again for the first time. Not as a shock. Not as a curiosity. But as a warrior. And maybe something else. The battle inside the palace was chaos. Glittering shards of crystal, streaks of plasma, the shrieks of alien war forms. Mason moved with terrifying efficiency, his human adaptability allowing him to react faster than the Karth anticipated. Elira fought with him, her hands channeling waves of radiant energy, each blast forming patterns like constellations. At one point, a Karth beast lunged directly at her. Mason threw himself between them, firing point-blank until the creature fell. Elira froze. "You shielded me," she whispered. "Of course I did." Her heart's hammered. He wasn't just fighting beside her. He was choosing her. When the final enemy fell, the palace lay in ruins, but Elira and Mason stood side by side, armor scorched, hearts racing. In that moment, amid smoke, sparks, and distant cries, the bond between them crystallized like the shining towers around them. A bond forged in war. A bond stronger than duty. A bond neither empire could easily deny.